In my previous life, the most comfortable years as a wealthy heiress were when I became infatuated with senior Ethan Harper and even used underhanded means to keep him as my lover for 2 years. Later, I forced him to marry me. But during our 5-year marriage, he treated me with icy indifference, growing to loathe me completely. On our 5th anniversary, we had a huge fight. I never imagined that rushing out afterward would lead to a fatal car accident. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day I coerced Ethan into marrying me. This time, I decided to set him free, and myself too. Ivy. What's wrong? Why did you freeze up? Tina Miller's voice cut through the haze. Didn't you have something to say to Ethan? Hey! Ivy Johnson. You finished playing the guitar, now speak up. The familiar urgency in her tone sharpened my disorientation. But hadn't I died? The dim bar pulsed with deafening music, the air thick with whiskey and clove cigarettes. As the achingly familiar scene came into focus, a migraine-like pain spiked through my temples. Ivy, are you zoning out again? Tina pressed. I turned toward her voice and locked eyes with Ethan Harper, who was watching me with guarded wariness from across the booth. This wasn't the impeccably dressed, ruthlessly composed man I'd married. This was college Ethan. My fingers brushed the guitar still cradled in my arms. Twang. The vibration cleared the fog. I was back. Reborn on the night of Ethan's 22nd birthday party at this very bar, the same night I'd later use as leverage to trap him into marriage. I first saw Ethan during a university's high-profile moot court finals. Dragged there by friends as an art student, I'd planned to doodle through the legalese-heavy competition. But then I froze at the lobby display. His poster dominated the center, crisp white shirt sleeves rolled to the elbows, collar slightly undone to reveal a clean jawline, eyes bright with quiet intensity. That faint half-smile unraveled something in my chest. When he took the podium, his voice, low, resonant, utterly assured, seemed to rewrite the room's gravity. Your Honor. The plaintiff's evidence chain contains fatal inconsistencies. Every rebuttal landed like a scalpel's precision cut. By the time he stepped down, I was already drowning. What followed was 2 years of humiliating pursuit. As the cherished daughter of the Johnson family empire, I'd never been denied anything until Ethan. His polite refusals only deepened my obsession. Eventually, I weaponized my wealth, offering a transaction disguised as romance. The full translation adheres strictly to the provided name key and delivers a natural, U.S. localized narrative voice while preserving all plot details and emotional beats of the original Chinese text. Back then, Ethan Harper's mother was critically ill and urgently needed a large sum for medical treatment. Under the crushing weight of life's circumstances, he reluctantly accepted my terms, though with one condition: our relationship would only last 2 years. During those 2 years, I did enjoy his warm and attentive care as his girlfriend, though it was merely him fulfilling obligations to his patron. His heart remained encased in thick ice, never truly opening to me. As our 2-year agreement neared its end, my obsession only deepened. Desperate to bind him to me permanently, I devised a scheme for his 24th birthday. After months of guitar practice, I performed an original heartfelt ballad before his classmates and friends. When the last note faded, I publicly proposed, Ethan, this song is for you. We've been together for 2 years. Will you marry me? His face turned ashen. Ivy, he said coldly, you know this isn't right. I won't marry you. Undeterred, I whispered a threat. Clutching my phone, refuse. And I'll tell your mother how her son prostituted himself for 2 years to pay her medical bills. His body stiffened, fists clenched with suppressed rage. He never agreed that day. Only later, when his dying mother, whom I'd cared for during her final month, expressed her dying wish for our marriage, did Ethan reluctantly consent. But forced fruits bear no sweetness. Our subsequent 5-year marriage became a living nightmare. Though honoring his mother's wish, Ethan remained emotionally distant. preferring endless workdays to my company. Our life together deteriorated into constant cold wars and bitter arguments. Until my fatal car accident ended the torment. Now reborn into this painful memory. My entire body trembles with remembered anguish. The scene before me unfolds again, Ethan's wary eyes. The expectant crowd. I take a steadying breath. There's still time to change our fate. I won't become Ethan's cage, nor drive us both to destruction. Sorry, Tina. I murmured to my friend. I suddenly felt dizzy. Tina Miller clicks her tongue impatiently. Typical. You always choke at crucial moments. She nudges me forward. You finished the song. Now say what you prepared. The crowd buzzes with anticipation, mostly Ethan's classmates and friends I barely know, as he'd always kept me separate from his social circles. Before I can respond, Laura Davis, Ethan's senior from university, speaks up. With a smile on her face, she said, Ethan Harper, you've got such a wonderful girlfriend. Ivy went through all the trouble of playing guitar to express her love. Such pure affection, even I'm moved. Laura Davis was known for her bold personality, high emotional intelligence, and carefree nature. Yet in my past life, I'd clashed with her multiple times, always instigating conflicts myself. Because Ethan shared so many interests with Laura and grew close to her, I feared she might steal him away and constantly targeted her. Seeing Laura again now, I felt grateful this was only our first meeting. Since Laura had broken the ice, I quickly added, yes. Today's Ethan's birthday. As his girlfriend, I just wanted to sing him a birthday song. Since I literally just finished writing the song, this is actually my first time performing it publicly. I'd really appreciate everyone's feedback, especially since I plan to release it online later. At this, Tina Miller pinched my arm hard. Ivy Johnson, what nonsense are you spouting? I gently patted her hand, signaling her to stay calm before continuing. I'd particularly value your input, Laura. Internally, I sighed with relief. Having already performed the emotional song, I hoped this awkward explanation might redirect attention. Laura laughed heartily. Goodness. With all that build-up, I thought you and Ethan had planned some grand marriage proposal. I was just wondering why he never mentioned such a big event to us. I chuckled. Just a misunderstanding. No proposal plans, simply wishing Ethan a happy birthday. Laura raised her glass. In that case, let's all toast to Ethan. The crowd followed suit, the awkward atmosphere dissolving into cheerful music and celebration. Catching Ethan's gaze across the room, I saw confusion and intense wariness in his eyes. Tina hissed in my ear, Ivy, what's this sudden act? Weren't you going to force Ethan into marrying you today? Shaking my head, I whispered, I realized forced relationships never work. We shouldn't keep tormenting each other. Tina stared like I'd grown horns. Have you been body snatched? Since when did you cure your terminal lovesickness? I forced a smile. Better late than never. Right? I'd rather live my own life than keep chasing someone who resents me. Tina dramatically pressed her hand to my forehead. What miracle drug did you take? How'd you suddenly fix your decade-long obsession? Long story, I said, tugging her toward the exit. I couldn't stay another minute. But as I reached the door, Ethan approached with measured steps, his scrutinizing gaze locking onto me. Leaning close, he murmured with quiet intensity, Ivy, your behavior tonight's completely out of character. What's your game? Meeting his eyes steadily, I replied, just wishing you happy birthday and sharing my new song. Nothing more. His lips twisted in a humorless smile. We both know there's more to this. His voice dropped with concern. You're not planning another impulsive stunt, are you? Swallowing bitterness, I answered calmly, I caused you enough trouble with my immaturity. From now on, I'll respect your boundaries. Hope you mean that, Ethan said after a pause, giving me one last searching look before walking away. After escaping the venue, I sent Tina home and took a cab back to my apartment, stopping to buy a case of beer on the way. Sitting on the couch watching the bubbles rise in my glass, my heart churned with mixed emotions. I never liked drinking much, but tonight was an exception, and I gulped down bottles of beer one after another. In my drunken haze, I found myself transported back to the 3rd year of my marriage with Ethan Harper, our most turbulent year. That was when my father's investment project collapsed spectacularly, plunging our family into lawsuits and wiping out half our fortune overnight. Suddenly, I wasn't the carefree heiress of the Johnson family anymore. Having always believed Ethan only married me for money, I became consumed by insecurity. Then Laura Davis invited Ethan to co-found a law firm as partners. When Ethan accepted without hesitation, I exploded. We had our first explosive fight where I smashed half our home. The usually composed Ethan Harper actually pointed at me shouting "You're insane," and demanded a divorce. But I stubbornly refused, preferring mutual torment over separation. Eventually, I compromised Ethan could work with Laura if he stayed married. He later helped my father win several lawsuits, recovering significant assets. Though our marriage survived that year, Ethan became increasingly absent. Our relationship deteriorated into mere cohabitation. 5 years later, arguments about having children erupted again. Now I realize I should have let Ethan go then. Tonight's binge left me vomiting until 1 a.m. before collapsing into bed. Through blurred vision, I saw someone standing by my bedside. "You can't sleep like this." Ethan's voice came as he held a steaming bowl. "Drink this hangover soup first." Tears welled up instantly. The alcohol haze made me confuse present-day Ethan with the husband from 5 years ago. "Ethan!" My voice trembled with accusation. "You said you didn't care. Why show concern now? Do you know how I've suffered these years?" I sat up abruptly, tears streaming. "Every day waiting for you to come home, to look at me. But you're always busy with cases and your career. What am I to you? After all these years, do you even love me? Why resist having children? Are you just waiting to divorce me?" Ethan frowned. "Divorce? What?" Suddenly sobering, I knocked my forehead. "Sorry." Drunk rambling, Ethan simply handed me the bowl. "Just drink this." "Thanks." I drained the soup in one gulp. As he turned to leave, I stopped him. Why come here tonight? You told me yesterday to come keep you company tonight." Then I remembered I'd given Ethan the passcode to my apartment years ago for emergencies. After so long, I'd completely forgotten. After watching Ethan Harper leave with the bowl, I collapsed weakly onto the bed. Some time later, he returned with damp hair and slipped under the covers beside me. My body tensed immediately. What are you doing?" Ethan's ears turned pink as he muttered reproachfully. "You called me here, wasn't it to sleep with you?" My alcohol haze evaporated instantly. I'd nearly forgotten 6 months into our relationship. I'd pestered him until we first slept together. Since then, I'd become insatiable, constantly craving his touch despite his reluctance. Though he still gave in every couple of weeks. Every fiber of my being urged me to turn and embrace him. But reason prevailed. "And no need," I stammered. "Go sleep in the guest room." After he left, I tossed restlessly all night. By morning, Ethan had already left, though the breakfast he'd prepared remained on the table. If I remembered correctly, this was his master's degree graduation period and when his mother's condition would deteriorate. After breakfast, I visited my childhood home. In my previous life, I'd learned through news reports 6 months after Mrs. Harper's death about an overseas doctor who developed life-saving medication for her condition. This time, I resolved to find that specialist. Arriving home, I found my father leaving with a woman and a 3-year-old boy, his love child. In my past life, I'd discovered this secret during my 2nd marriage year with Ethan. Rather than anger, I'd felt relief. After my parents' early divorce and mother's emigration, Dad had single-handedly raised me, delaying remarriage for my sake. The woman, a divorced restaurant owner I'd previously investigated, was genuinely devoted to him. Big sister, the boy had shyly greeted me last time. Now meeting them 2 years earlier, I patted his head. Call me sister? When he hid in his mother's arms, I told my flustered father, bring them home. I don't mind at all. Dad wiped his eyes. Overcome. That afternoon during family dinner, I asked Dad to contact the overseas doctor. Within 2 days, we secured the expensive medication. Visiting Mrs. Harper's hospital room later, I unexpectedly encountered Ethan. Though Mrs. Harper had always treated me warmly since our first meeting, Ethan appeared uncomfortable seeing me. After chatting with his mother, I asked him to step outside. Ethan Harper, the 2-year deadline we agreed upon is almost here. Starting today, you can focus on taking care of your mother and don't need to come see me anymore. Of course. Rest assured, I won't stop her medication or the financial support for her treatments. I've also imported a batch of specialized medication from abroad specifically for her condition. Ethan seemed puzzled by my words, furrowing his brow as he asked, "What do you mean?" "I mean our arrangement ends here." Ivy Johnson, replied. He blurted out instinctively, "Why?" I chuckled. "What do you mean? Why? Haven't you been counting down the days for this? Or do you not trust me?" Ethan pressed his lips together, finally saying after a long pause, "The 2 years aren't up yet. We'll talk when they are." I knew Ethan was a principled, stubborn man. In his mind, a 2-year deal meant exactly 2 years. So I shrugged. Fine. There's only 1 month and 18 days left. When the time comes, you can leave on your own. As I turned to walk away, Ethan grabbed my arm. "How much does the specialized medication cost?" "I'll pay for it," I almost asked. "With what money?" But held back. Our original agreement hadn't included this medication. Ethan was drawing a clear line between us, probably to ensure I'd never hold anything over him again. "I've already paid. I'll have someone send you the invoice. You can repay me within the next 2 years." He nodded stiffly. "Thank you." After parting ways, I called my father's assistant and instructed him to adjust the medication's price on the invoice. The treatment cost tens of thousands, far beyond Ethan's current means. In our past life, he'd worked tirelessly for my father. This was my way of repaying him. Thanks to the medication, Ethan's mother gradually improved. I visited her at the hospital a few times, though I never showed myself or spoke to them. This time around, I wanted to avoid contact entirely. But during my 5th covert visit, Ethan spotted me. He cornered me in a hallway and asked, "Why don't you come in? My mother still misses you." I shook my head. "Send her my regards. I've been busy lately." "With what?" "Setting up a studio. My father insisted I stop lazing around. So I'm starting a painting studio." I majored in art. After all. Ethan nodded. "I won't keep you." Then, as I walked away, he called out, "Wait. If you ever need help, just ask." "Sure," I said flatly. But I wouldn't ask. Not now. Not ever. When the remaining month and 18 days passed, I terminated our agreement and finalized all hospital arrangements for his mother. Ethan offered to take me to dinner, but I declined, citing the studio. Some ties were better left severed. It was another day when I found myself alone at home, nursing a hangover, when Ethan Harper showed up. Tina Miller had called him. During our phone call earlier, I'd been slurring my words and accidentally took a tumble. While I was fine, my phone screen went completely black. Hearing dead silence on my end, a panicked Tina, who didn't have my father's contact information, reached out to Ethan instead. Ethan arrived swiftly. Since I hadn't changed the door code, he let himself in. He found me slumped over the coffee table in a spaghetti-strap nightgown, drunkenly poking at my broken phone. The heating was cranked up high, yet Ethan carried the crisp chill of winter air on his coat. Hey, what are you doing here? My alcohol-fogged brain struggled to form coherent thoughts. Tina called. Are you hurt? His eyes immediately dropped to my knee. Oh, I'm fine. I waved my phone. Just broke this. Ethan's gaze remained fixed on the bruise blossoming across my kneecap. Where else did you fall? Here. I guess. I pointed to the spot where I'd knocked against the hardwood floor earlier. My fair skin always showed every bump and scrape in vivid technicolor, though I rarely paid such minor injuries any mind. After grunting in acknowledgement, Ethan called Tina back before rummaging through my medicine drawer for the familiar bottle of liniment. Come here. Let me treat that. Kay. I crawled toward him across the carpet, completely oblivious to how my loose nightgown gaped open with each movement. When I looked up, Ethan's ears and neck had flushed crimson. Ethan was incredibly attentive. He methodically checked me over, discovering several other bruises I hadn't noticed, carefully applying medication to each one. Later, he carried me to bed and brewed hangover soup. When I finished, he remained perched on the edge of my mattress with a book. Ethan, you staying? I'll leave after you fall asleep. But his presence kept me wide awake. On impulse, I reached for him. Stay with me then? After a long pause came his quiet reply, all right. Looking back, I'm equal parts mortified and regretful about what followed. How could I have let momentary desire override all reason? Let's just say Ethan didn't get much sleep that night. By morning, my collection of bruises had expanded considerably. Waking in Ethan's arms, I briefly hallucinated we'd time-traveled back to our marriage. Back when he didn't love me much, yet still inevitably surrendered whenever I pestered him enough. His stamina and endurance remained unchanged. I'd always end up spending the next day glued to the mattress. And every time, red-eared Ethan would wait on me hand and foot from dawn till dusk. Those were my happiest days. But today, I vowed this can't happen again. After that morning, I burrowed under the covers and slept straight through the day. Though I did kick Ethan out first. I changed the password on my door. For a long time afterward, I was genuinely busy with my studio work. I never contacted Ethan Harper again, nor did I see him. Later, I heard he co-founded a law firm with Laura Davis. I thought his life had finally gotten on track. As for Ethan's mother, she was discharged from the hospital. The doctor said the specialized medication worked well. She only needed 3 more treatment courses to fully recover. In my past life, Ethan's mother passed away early, leaving him perpetually alone. In this life, she'll likely stay by his side much longer. The next time I saw Ethan was when he came to repay me. I still lived in the same apartment, and he waited at my doorstep. I came to return the money, he said. I opened the door, come in. I hosted him like any other friend. The total cost for the medication, $330. 000, was all in this card. The password is your birthday, he said. I took the card and tossed it into my bag. You might need more treatments later. Contact him directly then. I gave him my father's assistant's number. Okay. Thanks, Ethan replied stiffly. I didn't keep him long. Before leaving, he repeated, if you ever need help, call me. I shook my head, probably won't be necessary. This time, I'd stopped my father from investing in the project that nearly bankrupted our family in the past. Though several subsidiaries had closed due to the economic downturn, we were far better off than before. I doubted I'd ever need Ethan's help. 2 years later, Ethan became a sought-after attorney. His firm grew from 12 employees to over 100. Rumor had it Laura confessed her feelings to him. If they married, their union would be a powerhouse, success guaranteed. As for me, I'd keep running my studio, living a quiet life. Winter returned. When the first snow fell, I walked home instead of taking a cab, letting the flakes soak my clothes. In my past life, I'd always dreamed Ethan would hold my hand crossing a snowy street, then build a giant snowman with me. What a shame it never happened. Midway, I unexpectedly ran into Ethan. He wasn't using an umbrella either, walking toward me through the snowfall. I smiled, long time no see. He paused, then smiled back, yeah. It has been. Want to grab dinner? I declined, can't. Promised my dad a family dinner tonight. Oh. Well, goodbye then. Goodbye. And let's never meet again. My father had taken his new wife and son abroad for vacation. There was no family dinner. Only my refusal to entangle myself with Ethan anymore. Main story ends. Extra chapter: Ethan's past life. Key replacements: Ethan Harper, first mention. Ethan thereafter. Laura Davis, first mention. Laura thereafter. Harper family. Ivy Johnson, first mention. Ivy thereafter. Johnson family. Ethan. Laura. Ethan's mother. Miss Johnson, implied through context. Translation notes. Localized idioms, e.g. Success guaranteed. Culturally adapted titles, e.g. Sought-after attorney. Maintained conversational tone while ensuring clarity in time jumps and emotional subtext. After receiving the notification of Ivy Johnson's death, I remained surprisingly calm. With detached composure, I informed Ivy's father and stepmother, then methodically completed the series of hospital paperwork. The car accident had been catastrophic. Ivy had died almost instantly. Watching her father cling desperately to her body in the hospital corridor, I felt only self-reproach. If we hadn't argued that day, would she still be alive? Yet her father placed a hand on my shoulder and said, "Don't blame yourself, Ethan. This wasn't your fault." I mechanically responded, "The dead cannot be brought back to life. We must learn to accept this and take care of ourselves." Her father shook his head, tears glistening. When parents outlive their children, true peace becomes impossible. But you're still young, don't let this destroy you. Look to the future. I didn't reply. Truthfully, I felt no grief, only faint relief. Over the next week, I efficiently handled all funeral arrangements before plunging back into work. My busy schedule and emotional detachment kept Ivy from my thoughts until 3 months later. Sitting alone in our silent apartment, I suddenly wondered, why hadn't I looked at her face one last time at the hospital? Was that heartless? 5 months later, finding an old photograph, I regretted not lifting the shroud before cremation. That truly had been our final farewell. By the anniversary of her death, I found myself puzzling over why we'd argued so frequently, some disputes now forgotten, remembered only as periods of icy silence. One sleepless night, I scrolled through Ivy's social media archives. From recent posts back to our first meeting, countless entries documented small kindnesses, dinners shared, gifts given, walks taken. Unexpectedly, I smiled seeing how she cherished these fleeting warm moments between us. Private posts revealed darker chapters. The first coincided with our honeymoon fight when she'd begged, "We're married now, can't you try to love me?" I'd walked away. The second marked Laura Davis's job offer 2 years later. Ivy had smashed our china when I accepted. The final encrypted post showed a mother cradling an infant, dated to her last birthday. Had she wanted children? How could we raise a child without love? After this digital pilgrimage, I stopped consciously remembering Ivy. Yet certain sights still paralyzed me, a particular flower arrangement. The scent of jasmine tea. I'd purchase her favorite almond cookies before continuing my day. Years later, during a client dinner, Tina Miller produced a box of date cakes. Attorney Harper. She smiled. I remember you mentioning your wife loved these. I made them with dates from my garden. The familiar aroma filled the restaurant as my throat tightened unexpectedly. Outside, autumn leaves swirled where none had fallen before. Processed text, translation. Take some home for your wife to try. I waved my hand calmly and said, my wife passed away 3 years ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. My apologies. The client stammered. But I barely heard him. Suddenly, it hit me, Ivy was truly gone. She would never argue with me again. Never open gifts I sent. Never show off on WeChat moments. Never taste her favorite date paste cakes. Side story 2, present day, Laura. Ethan Harper was my junior. The man I'd pursued for years without success. Before meeting him, rumors swirled about the aloof yet devastatingly handsome grad student in our department who shunned social interactions. When I finally saw him, the rumors proved true, strikingly handsome, yet colder than winter moonlight. Men and women alike found him unapproachable. They said admirers lined up around lecture halls for him. Yet none sparked his interest. Everyone assumed he was impossibly picky. But his roommate claimed otherwise. He doesn't understand emotions. Romance might as well be quantum physics to him. We laughed then. Who doesn't understand love? Then came Ivy Johnson, the Johnson family heiress. Some whispered the ice-cold heartthrob had finally melted for a socialite's charms. Others insisted she'd relentlessly chased him while he remained indifferent. I avoided the gossip until Ethan's birthday party. There stood Ivy, singing a ballad so tender it felt like a marriage proposal. But Ethan's stiff expression suggested she'd ambushed him. Surprisingly, she concluded by saying she'd simply written the song as a birthday gift. Our assumptions were wrong. Soon after, they broke up. By then, Ethan had graduated, his admirers multiplying. My own hopes rekindled. To stay close, I invited him to co-found our law firm. Brilliant, driven, flawless in every professional aspect, yet emotionally barren. When I confessed my feelings, he replied with clinical detachment, I'm sorry, Laura. There's no romantic interest here. Undeterred, I persisted, only to realize he rejected everyone. Stunning women, earnest suitors, all met the same frost. Why had Ivy been the exception? Years later, a strange dream haunted me. Ethan and I remained partners, but he wore a wedding ring. The person I was supposed to marry was Ivy Johnson. Yet our marriage wasn't founded on love, but rather began and ended as a transaction and compromise. After the wedding, Ethan and Ivy frequently quarreled and gave each other the cold shoulder, sometimes even dragging me into their conflicts. At first, I thought Ivy was unbearably annoying. Later I realized Ethan was equally at fault because Ethan Harper simply didn't understand love, nor how to love someone properly. Ivy's love burned like fire while Ethan remained ice-cold. Their marriage lasted only 5 short years. In the 5th year, Ivy died in a car accident. Initially, Ivy's death didn't seem to affect Ethan much. He continued working and living as usual, as if Ivy's existence and passing were merely insignificant footnotes in his life. But a year later, Ethan gradually began changing. He started spacing out frequently, buying women's accessories during business trips. By the 3rd year, he visited Buddhist temples whenever possible. When an intern mentioned being scared of ghosts during overtime, he coldly retorted, "What's there to fear about ghosts?" Yet I later found a crumpled note on his desk with ghosts scrawled in huge letters and the sentence, "Frowny face, why won't you visit me?" That's when I suddenly realized Ethan was pining for his deceased wife. But wasn't this remorse coming far too late? Ethan never remarried. He died of heart palpitations at home before turning 50, still clutching a Buddhist prayer tablet engraved with Ivy's name. The day after having this bizarre dream, I confronted Ethan and recounted it to him. He maintained his usual aloof demeanor until I mentioned in the dream, "You didn't love Ivy," and kept wanting to divorce her. I noticed his coffee-stirring hand tremble slightly. Muttering to himself, he repeated divorce? Like the word triggered some memory. Undeterred, I continued embellishing, "Pity you never got that divorce. She died in a car crash during the 5th year. Based on the timeline, that accident should happen in a few months." Do you think Ethan's head snapped up? "Oh, listen to me rambling nonsense." I backtracked. "Since Ivy isn't with you in this lifetime, surely nothing will happen." His tense shoulders relaxed slightly, casually adding fuel. I mentioned, "By the way, when I visited Ivy's studio recently, there was this young guy pursuing her." Ethan silently drank his coffee, forgetting to add his usual sugar. I smiled knowingly, contrasting the dream version with reality. Does Ethan truly feel nothing for Ivy? The dream version had multiple chances to divorce yet never did. Was he really being coerced? The truth might be more complicated. Was he never really intent on divorce to begin with? Just like in this lifetime. Ever since we founded the law firm, I've caught Ethan staring out the window at a particular spot multiple times. When I stood in his position, I realized it faced the direction of Ivy's studio. Sometimes, unconscious actions reveal the deepest truths of the heart. On several occasions, Ethan would rush out of the office the moment work ended. When I secretly followed him, I discovered him lingering near Ivy's studio. Does this man truly not love Ivy? I have my doubts. When the first snowfall arrived, I casually remarked to Ethan, "Hey, did you hear? Your ex turned down that young guy's confession." That afternoon, I saw him braving the snow to approach Ivy's studio again. This time, he actually ran into Ivy herself. From a distance, I couldn't hear their conversation, but she shook her head and walked away. Long after she'd left, Ethan remained frozen in place. I couldn't help scoffing, "You'll never catch up with her in this lifetime. You fool."